Can you see me jumper flashing?
Yeah,
Let me
doggy.
lights up, it flashes as well. Hang on.
I love those.
Yeah, I was wearing it in school on Christmas jumper days, but I had to take the flash off because it was distracting the kids too much.
Oh yeah.
I bet.
All right, let's give it a go. Okay, don't get the giggles. Okay, hi, Garland Gabbers. It is so lovely to be back saying these words again after a year hiatus for all of us. We do apologise for the break. It was necessary. Sometimes we have little breaks when one of us need them or two of us need them or whatever, or sometimes we can work around them. Maybe two of us pop on or something. But this year it actually was all three of us desperately needed. And we did try and talk about doing one earlier in the year, but it was just it just didn't manage to come about. So we thought it'd be lovely for a little holiday special, like we always do a holiday special, have Garland Gab the reunion to get us back into action. We'll have a little recap on what we've been up to. And then we'll discuss. It's been a very big Judy year, hasn't it, guys?
Yes.
And I've kind of missed most of it. And so a lot happens with all three of us. So yeah, we'll have a little catch up. So just want to say welcome back, Carly and Connor.
Yeah, it's great to be back.
So for anyone who's new and just watching this, like, what is this? We do have this podcast is about Judy Garland. It started off to sort of dispel myths and things and celebrate her, and then took on a whole sort of different life of just doing various different things and just being Judy related. But we did build up a following. Hopefully, you haven't abandoned us. But it's hosted by myself, Sarah Westhead, Connor Grant, and Carly Jade. Okay, so we'll have a little update about ourselves. Who would like to go first?
Not everyone.
Silence. Nobody speak.
Connor, if you don't mind me saying, I think you were the one who sort of 2024 was the first one to sort of start quite difficult.
Yeah, it did.
And we did follow suit not long later, but I know you do want to share something, but there was also something positive.
Yeah.
Something else positive, not a replacement, but something that also came out of it.
Yeah, look, there was. So, like, 2024 didn't start off to the greatest of starts for me. So if you watched our last podcast last December, you would have seen Otis, which was our Cairn Terrier dog, in it. So I can't remember the date we filmed that podcast last December, but so today is the 29th of December 2024. It was around this time last year, I think, between Christmas and New Year's, we filmed it. Sarah's nodding away there. And you probably saw Otis, I had him up in my lap and all of that. Well, the morning of the 11th of January, so that's, oh, can you hear that barking? So the morning of the 11th, we got up that morning and Otis was just very sick, down in the kitchen. It was kind of like he was very lethargic. There was something seriously kind of not right or whatever. So I scooped him up and we just went straight up to the vets, like, very dramatic in the door, no appointment, no anything, just help kind of a thing. So they had to look at him and, they said, yeah, he's definitely very sick. They said, look, we'll probably keep him in overnight. We'll put him on fluids and antibiotics and blah, 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 blah. And all of that. And I said, yep, perfect, that's fine. So off I went back home. I work from home most of the time. So I went logged into work or whatever. Got a phone call then, I'd say around 11 or half 11. They were just saying, look, he is very, very sick. And he was now starting to bleed like from his nose. And I was like, gosh, okay. And they were saying, like, it actually looks, it almost looked like a poisoning of some sort. And I was kind of going, but sure, how? Like, this dog is with us 24/7. He's not, even if he's out in the garden for a while, like, we're either out with him or we watch him or, and he can't get at any chemicals or anything like that. I was like, how could it be anything, whatever. And then I'd say it was just before 2 o'clock. Then I got another phone call from the vets, and I said, well, how is he? Blah 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 blah. I genuinely like was not expecting the next words out of her mouth were, "I'm so sorry, he's just passed away." Um, Absolutely floored me, like completely. I was just, even though I knew he was sick and she told me he was sick and I was fully, because he was only one. I was literally expecting them to say, we've stabilized him, he's on fluids now, blah, blah, blah. I was just not expecting that whatsoever to have happened. So that was the 11th of January. And of course, then we were kind of like, you know, like what happened? How did this happen? Kind of a thing. So we ended up going down, well, me and Sarah call it a post-mortem, but an autopsy route. So it's Dublin is we're in Waterford, and Dublin is one of the, I think one of the universities or whatever does the autopsies. So the vets, look, our vets here are absolutely excellent. They arranged for him to go up to Dublin. Took a while to get the results. So the first set of results we got were basically to say that what killed him was a hemorrhage in his lungs and something to do with the thorax, which I think is kind of throaty area. Um, but then they took I don't know what you call it, like samples to do biopsies on his vital organs, like almost a toxicology, because they still, again, so like, yeah, the hemorrhage in his lungs is what killed him, but what caused that kind of a thing. So there was further test done. And what came back from that was that it was E. coli. They found E. coli, traces of E. coli in his system. Now again, the question is, and we'll probably never know the answer to this, like how did that get into him? Because again, like just to reiterate, this dog was with us 24/7. So the only thing like is, because it was the kind of throat and lungs area, an educated guess from the vet is that he probably just sniffed at something. Like, we don't even know what. There could have been like something somewhere and it just came in through his airways, kind of a thing. Um, so that was Otis. Yeah, Otis passed away on the 11th of January. We had him cremated. He's downstairs actually in the living room at the moment. Um, yeah, and then I suppose after that, then like as somebody said when I was talking about this with a friend of mine, it's not that you want to fill like the Otis shaped hole in your heart, because you'll never fill that. It's you kind of almost want to fill the dog shaped hole in your heart. So it was quite quickly after Otis passed away, we started looking. There was never going to be a question that we would get another dog. And I did start looking at some of the local rescue, and not even local, even around the country, um, rescue centres and all of that. But a lot of what was coming up, or the dogs that they had were big kind of staffies and things like that. And to be honest, I don't really have the space for a big dog. Not that I would object to having a staffy. I actually think they're gorgeous. Um, so it was a small dog we were hoping to have. And I did actually even apply. There was I don't know if you ever heard of a Griffon Terrier. No, there was
Mm.
a type of a terrier that I did reach out to one of the places about. But they came back and again offered me some big, huge sort of thing. Um, so like Otis was a Cairn Terrier. Now there's only two Cairn Terrier breeders in Ireland, and this is the bit I told the girls about this, and like, look, you mightn't believe me, but it's the gospel's truth that this is what happened. Literally, like the night before I reached out to one of the breeders, I literally kind of said, like, I was thinking to myself, I was like, to the universe, can I have a sign? Like, what should I do? Do we get another dog? Do we get a Cairn Terrier? Like, what's the approach? What do we do? I just wish I had a sign. And the next day, then reached out to one of the breeders to see did she have puppies or whatever. The conversation got going. She came back and she said, "Look, I will have puppies in probably a few weeks or months, months, I think." But this particular woman, like, she's not a breeder for money. It's almost a hobby. What she actually does is show the dogs. Like, she does crufts. She travels over to the UK and does crufts and things. So like when she does have she doesn't have puppies, maybe twice a year is kind of when she has puppies or whatever. But she came back then to say that she did actually have a dog, a male Cairn Terrier that was at that time 15 months old. So this is still January. This is 10 days after Otis passed away. Um, she said, I have a male Cairn Terrier. Like, we have shown him at shows, but, you know, I suppose that he hadn't been too successful in the shows or whatever. Yeah. So I'll tell you in a second. I come back to that. Um, I, so we were like, okay, wow. And then here was my sign. The woman's name was Manuela. And she and her husband are actually German and they live in Ireland. And I thought, oh my God, they're like, what are the chances? That's a very unusual name for someone to have. And then the second thing was when I asked what was the name of the dog's name was Tom Cruise, spelt with a Z instead of a Z, instead of an S. And my grandfather's name was Thomas. And I was very close to Grandad. He was Grandad Tommy, we always called him. So I was like, oh my God, like it's literally, there's my signs from the universe. So this woman lived in Galway, and if you happen to know geography in Ireland, it's like over a 3 hour drive from Waterford up to Galway. So we packed ourselves into the car on the Saturday and we made a 6 hour round trip. And his name is now Tom Tom, rather than Tom Cruise. But I will show him to you because he is here. Tom Tom, Tom Tom.
Hey.
This is Tom Tom.
Oh, he's gorgeous. Oh my God, look at him.
Say hello. Say hello.
I love him.
Wow.
I
It's the
love his
microphone.
black ears.
Yeah, the
Yeah,
black ears.
So
that's so
unique.
cute. With his little bits of black on his nose as well. It really
Yeah.
like, yeah.
Oh, he's so cute. Oh,
So this
Lucy
is Tom
wants to
Tom.
say hi
He's
to
our
Tom
little.
Tom.
Look, look, Tom
Lucy,
Tom.
look. Who's that?
Can you see
Who's
you?
that?
Look,
Who's that?
look. What's that?
I did have when you were talking, bless, about poor Osis, a very Evie, very insensitively. I don't know whether you noticed, walked right across me.
That's okay.
Sorry.
Hi.
We'll get on to my pets later. When I get to so yeah, so I'm not showing off my cat right now, but
So
he's
we have him now since the 21st of January, so we're nearly a year with you, aren't we? And he's great. I have to say he's absolutely great because, like, part to me, the other thing was like, and you'll know, Carly, like we had just gone through the puppy with Otis, and Otis was coming out of, like, he was just past the real puppy stage. He was only one. Well, he was 13 months actually. And part of me was thinking, can I go through a puppy stage again so soon? Because it's hard work, you know.
Yeah.
And Cairn Terriers are notorious because they're stubborn. They're a bit stubborn, and you know, so it takes time to work on their obedience and their bits and pieces. You know, so like he was 15 months when we got him, and he was already house trained. He was already able to walk on the lead, and you should see him walking on the lead because he was a show dog. He does this look at me kind of thing. You know, he's like, I don't know what's going along. So he's great. He's absolutely great. Yeah, we love him. That's it.
how was he not successful? Oh, are you gonna ask what I was gonna ask, Carly?
I was just gonna say he looks so calm and just so snuggly in your arms. You can tell that was your soul dog.
Yeah. He's very placid, I have to say. Like nothing really bothers him or you know, the only thing he doesn't like is obviously somebody near the front door. He will let you know, he will start barking. But certain loud noises he doesn't like. So children, the sound of loud children terrify him.
Oh, I can understand that, to be fair.
Yeah. Or
Same.
yeah. Or the sound of a football, and by that I mean a soccer ball, being kicked, you know, or something like that terrifies him. But other than that, he's very calm. He like any dog that you meet, he wants to play with them. He's never growled. He's never, you know, he's very calm and placid and quiet. So can't ask for anything else.
So how come he wasn't successful in the show?
That I actually don't know because, like, he's very good, and like in terms of training and everything, like again, they're clever, the Cairn Terriers. Like when you walk him on the lead, the only thing I can think of is when you walk on the lead, it is very difficult to get him to keep going in one direction. He likes to kind of wander all
Oh,
over the road. And I wonder, maybe was that, the way when they show dogs, they're supposed to walk kind of perfectly beside you, like at heel. I wonder, is that maybe that he wasn't great at that? But he's perfect as a pet,
I was gonna say, I'm glad he's a pet now, unlike.
Yeah, so I call him my retired show business veteran. So he was like Judy, he was a little child star for a while.
Oh,
There's just one other thing I meant to explain because of our break. My ever-changing background, because it's changed again, I'd say, from the last time I was here. So like me and Martin, like we had a rented apartment, and I was in a couple of different, well, first there was probably my mum's house is probably the first one we ever saw. And then in the rented apartment, I used to either use the living room or the spare room, depending on when we filmed. And now this is our house that we bought. But I've moved around this room a few times. Like I've moved the desk and I've moved things around. So this is the final version. This is what it will be kind of from now on, is this background. But that struck me that my background keeps changing.
anything else you need to update us on, Connor?
I don't think so. No, to be honest, like that, as you said, like January just wasn't off to a good start. I mean, he was a great distraction because we got him 10 days, like 10 days later. Um, but at the same time, it was probably good to, you know, it's, we're all pet lovers here. Like we all, you're losing a member of your family, let's be honest about it. And it
Yeah.
is, a difficult one. So it took a bit of time and so young, because I think, like, unfortunately, I don't mean this to sound horrible, but like if a dog is 15 or 16, and of course it's very sad, I'm not saying it's not, but you kind of know that's coming. But a 1-year-old dog is just a massive shock,
Mm-hmm.
you know.
Mm.
So all else really has been quiet. Apart from that, we ended up getting some work done in the house. We got our bathroom done and bits and pieces like that later in the year. And yeah, it's been a lovely quiet Christmas. Thank God, touch wood, nothing, nothing, no dramas or anything. Yeah, so yeah, that's me. I'll stop talking now.
Oh, what about you, Carly?
Oh gosh. 2024 was a bit of a roller coaster of a year for me and my family. Um, it start like so I guess some of our absolute highlights, Carrie and I went on our first vacation together in April of 2024. We went to we went to Puerto Plata in Dominican Republic. We went to a beautiful all-inclusive resort. I had never been to an all-inclusive resort, and it was just wonderful. We had the absolute best time. Uh, Unfortunately, when we got home, we also suffered the loss of a pet. We lost our golden doodle, Maddie. Now, Maddie was 14 years old, so we knew it was coming, and it was definitely a sad loss, especially for the kids. They were absolutely devastated, but again, it was very expected. We knew she was gonna go very soon. We could see the signs, and she went very peacefully as well. So it all worked out just the way that it was supposed to. And, we had a beautiful plaque for her made in the backyard where she is laid to rest. So we always have her with us. Um, and shortly thereafter, we started noticing that there was problems with Bear. Bear is our Black Russian Terrier, and he's starting to get some lumps and bumps, and we're fairly certain that it's not good.
No.
But he is he's happy. He's actually sitting in front of me. I got this one here, and I got Bear over there,
Oh,
laying
Oh,
with
he's
me on the
gorgeous.
floor. And he's as happy as can be right now. So our thing is just making him comfortable and you know, and he's like he is 6 years old, but for his breed, because he's so large, that's actually a very good age and where they start to slow down. Um, but like I said, the biggest thing is just making him comfortable and happy. Then we
Doesn't
got
make it any easier.
and we got this goofball, and she's just as lovely as ever. Steel shoes all the time.
Hi,
And
Lucy.
she's just as happy as can be. Um, yeah, it's been a wild ride. I took some time off in the summertime to deal with some personal issues, and that was that. And I feel right now really good, better than ever, doing really well. So yeah, I meant to add one more thing that one big accomplishment this year that I did. I got a major back tattoo. No. Um, I'm not gonna show it on the camera because I'd have to take my shirt off and I really don't want you to block us. But it's a beautiful sunflower with a dream catcher in the background. It was an 8-hour tattoo that I sat through the entire one with a 20-minute break. Did not think I would get through that, but I did. And I'm so happy with it. And it was something that I wanted to do for years. It represents my grandfather. His favorite sunflower, or his favorite flower is a sunflower, and we are indigenous on his side. So I got the dream catcher in there to honor that, honor my heritage. So that was fun. That's another good one on my card.
Oh.
Aren't you, Sarah?
Oh. I'm sort of similar to you with a roller coaster of a year, Carly. You've spoken about January starting off bad, but Connor, I struggle through January anyway, even when I'm appearing not to, if you know what I mean. So I think the last time we filmed, I'd started in the October. I'd started a job as a content creator / recruiter for a company. I won't name the company or anything. Let's just say that didn't work out because obviously I'm not gonna say anything that I shouldn't. I was off work for a while with stress as well. I think a lot of things just caught up that had been going on while I've been studying and stuff, like with mum's illnesses, which we will get to as well. Things just came to a head, and I think I just sort of broke down a little bit and stopped working for a little bit. I know we're humans, but we're not machines, and we do sometimes break a little bit ourselves. So I took time off in the January. It was not long after that my mum had a heart attack. And so pretty much all through the year, it's been about mum's health. As you've known before in the past, mum's health has been pretty, vicarious. So she was ill again. She was ill again on her birthday. She was in hospital on her birthday, which is also Judy's birthday. I finally graduated my master's in journalism finally, because it took me a bit longer than I was supposed to graduate. Oh, I did leave that job I mentioned. It was disappointing because I did want to do content creation. I've done a bit of freelance writing, but I've then gone down the education route. So I've been doing sometimes cover supervisor, which I don't like as much, but teaching assistant, which is the same as education assistant. And I've loved working in the school environment. But I'm working through an agency, so I did like a whole term at one school in Wigan, which I loved. But I have enjoyed it so much that I'm looking into going into teaching. So using my 2 degrees, I've got that way of going down the teaching route. I applied. I can only do it salaried though, because I've got to work. I've got to earn a living now. I've spent so long in university, struggling and working. I can't do the study and work at the same time again. It nearly killed me. I went for one salary position the other week, but there was only one position and 3 of us went for it. I didn't get that because I knew I'd balls up. You had to lead a little class, and I knew I'd balls it up. And even though they say don't worry about your lesson because it's about potential, not perfection, they said the person they took was ready to go to teaching straight away. But I keep trying, so that's my plan for the future. to go down the education route and then keep writing freelance. I've been very lazy with me writing. But in the midst of mum and dad's illnesses, talking about pets and pet losses, I haven't lost a pet, thankfully. You've seen Evie on here many a time. And you've mentioned me talk about Minnie in my mum's, and obviously you've seen Minnie when I've sometimes been in my mum's, but we now have Minnie living with us as well, with me and Stu and Evie. And it's been a transition and a half. So Minnie, bless her, she's 13, she's an elderly cat. She's been spoilt rotten her whole life. She's never lived with another cat. She's very lovable, but she can also be grumpy, and she's diabetic. Evie, as you know, Evie is a very gentle soul. She's the most gentle cat I've ever known. She's a rescue cat, and the problem is both of them are mummy's girls, even though Stu and Evie do have a bond. But I have a bond with both of them, so it took a while to integrate. Got 2 separate cat litters. One's right behind me right now, and it's due to be emptied today, so that's not pleasant. But let's just say that Minnie likes to bully Evie sometimes, and it breaks my heart. But then Evie will sometimes torment her and just start staring at her, or following stuff and stuff like that. But so everyone knows how much I love my cats and how much of a bond I've had with Minnie, even when I wasn't living with her, but she's now with us. So I will shut up waffling now, but yeah, that's my year. So you've heard us talk about ourselves and our catch up, but hope you don't mind that, because I know a lot of you watch this for Judy. So this year, unfortunately, we did have special podcast plans this year, because we've already done an Oz podcast, but Judy's 3 biggest films actually all had massive anniversaries this year. So obviously we had Oz with it. Are we on 85th now?
Mm-hmm.
Meet Me in St. Louis on its 80th, and A Star Is Born on its 70th anniversary. And we will do podcasts on Meet Me in St. Louis and A Star Is Born, but obviously we didn't do them this year. But it's fine, because we still do them. Do you know what I mean? Things don't always go to plan. But I missed a lot of the sort of celebrations, because even when I've been sort of good this year, I've been busy. If I've been low, I've been out of it. So it's kind of a lot passed me by, but I don't want it to pass me by. And especially since those are some of my favourite films. So anything you want to add on those anniversaries?
Well, the one thing that I will say, I guess maybe this is kind of pushing the podcast too far forward, but I was just gonna mention, with the release of Wicked, I have seen such an influx of love for The Wizard of Oz. And the fact that this correlates with the 85th anniversary of The Wizard of Oz, it's just brought that film into a whole new audience. And I am a TikTok person. I love to scroll TikTok. And just about every video that comes across my For You page is a new generation appreciating Wizard of Oz and oftentimes making fun of it, but I love those videos.
Oh, I do. Yeah. I was also going to say, and I might be wrong considering I've not been too on it, because I used to, when we do this, I used to be quite present on social media, seeing what was going on and stuff. But I do scroll. I don't hardly ever post on TikTok, but I scroll on it all the time, like you. I've noticed, obviously, we had a few years back, we had that whole generation where, the reason why we started the podcast, where all those myths about Oz came out and it was exaggerated. They've still been about, but I've noticed since Wicked and the new interest in Oz, they don't seem as prevalent at the moment. Is that just me, or are people finally learning a bit?
The only thing I've noticed is, and I shared with the on YouTube in particular, there's a lot more of, reacting to The Wizard of Oz for the first time, sort of videos that are on that. And I have seen some of the younger people, where are you trying to go? Some of the younger people, honest, that are watching for the first time, they kind of say in passing, "Oh, Judy Garland, oh, I don't think she was treated very well on this film." And then we're kind of past it. They have probably seen the TikToks and stuff that you're talking about, Carly, but we generally move past it. And what I've liked, and I think I called it out to you guys as well, was when they see the shot of the door opening into color and she steps into the frame and you get the first color close up, every single person has gone, oh, she's so gorgeous. Oh, she's so pretty. And when they hear Over the Rainbow for the first time, you know, there's, is that where this song comes from? I know the song. And then they go quiet because they're listening to Judy sing it. And without fail, every single one of them have gone, what a voice. And a lot of people have said, is that really her singing? And I'm screaming, yes!
The only thing I was gonna add to that is, especially when those reaction videos and a lot of the TikTok videos that are coming around, just bouncing off of, oh, she's so gorgeous. I see so many where when Glinda asks her, are you a good witch or are
Oh,
you
yeah.
only bad witches are ugly? And they go, girl, she is gorgeous.
When you were talking about them stopping and listening, you know, to Over the Rainbow, Connor, I had this thought this morning. So sometimes, like I said, this year's been on and off for me, so I haven't watched as much as I normally would. But she's always there. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
Sometimes I'll just sort of like hear a voice on a TikTok or on YouTube. You know, I'll put something on, and it's even if I've not been watching it for a while. That as soon as I hear that voice, I just get the most sort of like soothing feeling.
Mm.
You know, it's like a comfort, comfort I'm used to. And I was trying to think, you know, like today you've got, you know, like your Ariana Grande and, you know, your Taylor Swifts and stuff. Obviously, there was divas like before Judy who influenced her, you know, you Sophie Tuckers and everything. But from that period, it's loads of singers, famous singers. Then from that period on film, that's still, I'm having a brain fog or a brain frog. That are still relevant today, that people still like today. I can't think of any other singer
Mm.
from that era who sort of has that sort of effect. Do you know what I mean?
Mm.
I know what I mean to say, but I'm just not saying it. Sorry.
Well, it's like the quote, isn't it, from Frank Sinatra? The rest of us will be forgotten, never Judy.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Don't even realize that Judy has passed on.
yeah.
No.
Seeing all sorts of comments, on these social media platforms of people that don't even realize she's passed away and that she was her most popular, 85 years ago.
Mm.
85 to 75 years ago. That's huge.
I know, and I think also because the Wizard of Oz doesn't seem that old either.
No.
No. And that's the other thing that, like, any of these people that are watching for the first time comment on is like the effects. Like every time that tornado is on screen, you know, they all comment, "Oh my God, that looks amazing for 1939,"
Mm.
and not just for 1939. Today, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
You know.
What about the other films? So, Meet Me in St. Louis, Star is Born.
Well,
I
I
mean,
watched Meet Me in St. Louis Christmas Eve for the first time all the way through in quite a few years, I'd say. Like, it's always going to have a special place for me because it was the first Judy film after Oz that I saw was Meet Me in St. Louis. And like when I watched the Christmas Eve the whole way through, like it really is just such an enjoyable movie. It really and truly is. There's not, it's just, yeah, I don't even know where to start with it. It's a Vincent Minnelli movie. It's a Judy Garland movie. It's the Arthur Freed unit. It's an integrated musical, meaning that the songs serve the story. There's just so much you can say about Meet Me in St. Louis. And funny enough, the trolley song has come up a lot on social media. Have you seen this, Carly? People compare it to like Sabrina Carpenter and Espresso, and the memes are like the gays in 1944 were gagged when she did this, and all this kind of a thing. It's I find it very funny.
well, Meet Me in St. Louis, like, as you know, it's my favourite Judy film outside of Oz. And I do also have a Christmas memory with that when my mum buying me it on video. So I know it was only the anniversary last month as well. So I am a bit disappointed. I've missed some of the celebrations, but we don't really have anything too significant going on in England. But no, I know you mentioned all the qualities of it. The other thing as well, which is quite prevalent in Vincent Minnelli's films as well, is it visually it's
Mm,
like an art painting. That's
yeah.
very Vincent Minnelli-esque. You know, it's just a gorgeous, gorgeous film.
And it holds up again. It's one of those ones that holds up. Like there's there's a couple of things that I say a modern audience might kind of go, huh? About one or two little things. I'm sort of thinking of what's that? Is that your food? Go get it. The kibble going in the bowl, he could hear it downstairs.
Oh,
I'm thinking of Agnes at the start of the movie when she comes in and she's been swimming and you can kind of see
oh yeah. Mm.
she hasn't got anything on under that white, I guess, bloomers, whatever she's wearing. I'm kind of thinking that might be a bit questionable today. But I mean, it's set in 1903, 1904. It's innocent, but so there's, and I kind of think maybe, I don't know, I'm sure there'll be some opinions about some of the, the way the kids are like obsessed with death and
Yeah,
stuff like that. But it's not like that's actually accurate. Like the Victorian era, the Victorians were kind of a bit obsessed with death anyway, so it's not wrong for the time period it's set in.
yeah, it's why we have, Gothic literature and things
Yeah.
like that. We'll put it this way: I watched Meet Me in St. Louis as a kid, and I was not in any way disturbed by anything Tutti was saying or doing, and
No.
and I didn't really feel obliged to copy off them either because I knew right from wrong. So, what about you, Carly, on Meet Me in St. Louis? I know it's a film you enjoy. I know it's not your favourite, but you like it, isn't it? Is that right?
Yeah.
Is that right?
I'm probably gonna get hunted for this, but it's one of it's one of the films that I don't watch very often. Like, not it. I don't know what it is. It just didn't quite grab me. There are some fabulous scenes in it though. Like I absolutely love when Esther just goes ham on when he's punching him and like
I think that's another thing today, though. That might be a bit,
Actually, yeah.
I think it's just hilarious because she's just this little spitfire, just going after him. But no, unfortunately, I didn't get to watch it this year. Like you, Sarah, everything just kind of blew by me, and I didn't even, those monumental moments this year, even Judy's birthday, like just
Mm.
went right by me. And then I think this is the only year that I actually entirely missed it. And like a few days later realized, wait a minute, I've passed June 10th and I didn't even stop for a moment.
Mm.
But yeah, this year was kind of a mess, but
There was also there's been a couple of good releases. Sorry, Sarah, to take over, but there's been a couple of good releases of things, CDs that have come out this year, and in particular the alternate Judy album. So I'll just fill in for anybody who's not familiar. So there's a new CD release, and the when I say Judy album, I mean the album called Judy that she recorded for Capitol Records in 1956. It basically turns out that what we hear on that album is a re-record. So the original studio sessions took place, I think it's around March of 56. And the story that's emerged now, and I don't know how verified it is, but the story that emerged around this new CD release is that Joe, her son, had a chest infection that Judy caught in early 1956. Now, her television special, um, the General Electric one, was I think April of 56. And the plan was that the pre recorded songs from the album would be used in the television show. So she couldn't cancel the sessions in March of 56 because there had to be music for the television program, which was live. So seemingly she goes ahead with the recording sessions. She's still recovering from the chest infection that she caught. Um, and what we hear on the album today, the official release of the album, it's not been documented, but it's as if she went back into Capitol Records and re-recorded her vocals to the orchestra tracks from the March sessions. So what we hear on the album is Judy obviously has fully recovered, and of course, Come Rain or Come Shine, she holds that last note for 17 years. But the recently discovered are the original takes, if you like, and they have been released on CD It's called the Alternate Judy album. We'll put details in maybe about where it's available and stuff because I've got it, and it's wonderful to listen to, and it's that thing we always say that even when she's not at 100%, it's better than basically everybody.
Should we move on? Speaking of the 50s, should we move on to Star is Born?
Yes, let's say A Star is Born.
I completely missed the whole anniversary for this. Sorry, I'm such, you could arguably say that this is Judy's greatest on-screen performance. You could. Maybe some people think it's others. It's opinion, isn't it? So it's fine. But what a film.
I still, I probably say it every time. I was hoping that for this, because I don't know how much I can say or can't say, but there's been rumors out there for years that the complete version is in existence somewhere, and there's a whole thing. And look, can't get into it too much. Lorna says there isn't. Some people are saying there is. Some people, I was holding out hope against hope that this year for the 70th anniversary that there would be something that, but there wasn't.
Well, if the footage does exist, Voodoo better be with it.
Yeah. I was just gonna say it's like the Jitterbug. So I got told that Jitterbug had been found. It was coming out years ago, but it's still not resurfaced.
Didn't they tease the fact that Jitterbug was going to be re-entered into the theatrical release
Yeah.
of Oz, and then everybody's all excited, and there was something about it, but it wasn't the
Scarecrow dance, the extended
That's it.
Scarecrow dance was shown. Yeah.
Which we've seen, haven't we? But
Yeah. Like there was a prominent member of the Judy Garland community had said that it exists, and so look, I just hope we get to see it at some point if it does.
And Voodoo.
And Voodoo.
They think Voodoo's no way. Well, there's two cut versions of Voodoo, isn't there? These the Ruffles, which were really, really meant to be really naughty. Then there's the one they refilmed and shows in the previews, which is meant to be still quite bad, but not as bad. So there's two out there. At least one of them should exist.
No.
Well, it's the first one, isn't it? That Louis B. Mayer said, "Burn the negative."
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Didn't Patricia say that there was no chance?
But you see, like I never give up hope because like a lot of I see things coming up in like film history world, especially silent films, because I think something like is it like 90% or 80% of all silent films are now lost to time. But things have been found overseas. So yes, it may not exist in the United States, but there's nothing to say that complete prints weren't made of something and shipped overseas and stuff like that. So maybe I'm being, a bit too hopeful, but
Well, we know the footage that wasn't burnt in the vault fire was either buried under what was it?
the ocean or something, was it?
One was thrown in the ocean, some was thrown in the ocean, and one was buried. It was in a landfill, wasn't it, when they built a new
A freeway.
freeway? Yeah, I went to call it a motorway because my English come out. So there's either that. So if something's buried, it can be dug up.
Exactly. I'm going right now to rent some scuba gear.
Yeah.
Look what archaeologists find. And if something's in the ocean, how do we know that it's not being fished out at some point and people have not known what it is? Things come out the ocean all the time. And there's still a lot of the ocean we don't know about, but they are getting deeper and deeper and deeper there.
Imagine there's a whole bunch of mermaids down somewhere in the ocean sitting there watching MGM outtakes. Beck and Ariel and her sisters are sitting there now watching Voodoo.
I know. I remember 2019 was a huge year for Judy releases, and especially with the auctions and things like that were coming about, and a lot of things got released, like a lot of the home Liza's home movie footage and all kinds of stuff that we never ever thought we would ever see was all of the sudden released, and that gave me hope for everything else on our list, on our bucket list, that maybe, just maybe, at some point in our lifetime, we will get to see the things that we want to see.
I'm just putting it out to the universe as well. I would like apparently there's a recording of her 1960 Manchester show.
Yes, please. I'll have that as well.
Yeah, we would both very much like to hear that. Thank you very much. And there is her 1967 Caesar's Palace show. Apparently has been recorded. A couple of nights were recorded, and the tapes exist, and the tapes are with the sound guy's son or something like that. So I'd like that, and I'd also like. I'm not asking for much. I'd like ABC Records or whoever recorded the Palace, the At Home at the Palace, the 67 Palace show. I'd like the complete recording of the opening night of that show, please. Thank you very much.
Anything else?
I think that'll do me.
No, is the possibility that the Manchester show's out there then? Is that like?
I believe so, yeah. Yeah,
'Cause
I
I
don't
was
know
going,
where or what, or I don't know much detail about it, but I've heard it mentioned a few times that it exists.
okay, because I was going to start spouting off asking for the Sahara and all sorts, but they're not as realistic.
Well, I
I
mean, you can put it to the universe that somehow somebody, I mean, if somebody happens to find a 16 millimeter professionally filmed, version of the Sahara show that we never knew existed,
Speaking of auctions, what about those ruby slippers?
it wasn't me.
$32 million. Like, who has that kind of money to spend on shoes?
That you can't wear.
Anywhere.
You can only display them.
Like,
Mm,
I don't get it.
I mean, it's a testament, isn't it, to the movie and, all of that. Like, I mean, the Ruby Slippers have always been the holy grail of film memorabilia. I mean, when they first go for auction, they go for what is it, 165,000, or I can't remember the first auction, the figure. And every time a pair comes for auction, they always fetch like a record amount. I don't know how you could ever beat $32 million now. Like I think I saw it bet like Marilyn Monroe's, the subway dress that blows up and all these things. It's the most expensive
Yeah.
prop or costume in history.
Buy the home that Judy Garland built 4 times for that price.
Yeah.
Like,
I'd say if the poor woman who sewed them sequins onto the shoes, back in 1938 would knew now,
yeah.
I know, because I bet she wasn't getting paid that much.
No, and actually when they went when we got the final figure and it was in the news and stuff like that, I actually saw people were talking about the fact that, you know, Judy Garland died without very much money, and now those shoes are 32 million. Like it's insanity.
And it's
Yeah.
because of her that they're worth that much.
Mm.
Well, I mean, this is going to sound morbid, but I mean, as a positive, she's been dead now longer than she's been alive, than she was alive, which will eventually happen to all of us. We're all
Yeah.
dead when we live. But hopefully, if there is an afterlife, hopefully she's sitting there enjoying the fruits of her labour and just loving all the sort of. Maybe she'll look and think, yeah, it was difficult at times, but it was so worth it because look at what I've given to the world.
Mm.
Is there anything anyone else wants to say about A Star Is Born, its anniversary, before we move on?
I mean, we'll talk about it in more detail when we get to our actual A Star Is Born podcast. But yeah. I mean, I was thrilled when the Lady Gaga version came out because it brought back renewed interest in the previous versions of A Star Is Born, and in most cases, people would say Judy's version was their favorite or it was the best or whatever, and yeah. It's just a pity we don't have the proper complete version, because you always have to, if you show it to somebody, you always have to explain these still photographs that suddenly appear in the middle.
It's such a
Yeah.
hiccup. Like, yeah, it makes it look so sloppy.
It does, but I've seen the film without them, and I'm glad they're there. So obviously, because I know the story and the backstory, I can watch them. But again, it's not a film I sort of put on for people to show Judy for that reason, because you'd have to be like, it's funny as well talking about the Lady Gaga version. So I've noticed as well when that came out, people were like, "Oh, it's a remake. There's been another version," and it was always Judy's version. They mentioned a few knew of Barbara Streisand's, but quite a lot didn't, and hardly anyone, unless you're into classic Hollywood, knew of the Janet Gaynor, and very very few people know of what Price Hollywood as well.
Yeah.
From, but it always seemed to be like, "Oh, Judy Garland." Did say Judy Garland did the original, and I'm like, "Well, actually, she didn't."
I was the same. I think I literally made several people at work collapse when I was like, well, Lady Gaga's version is the fourth, technically the fifth remake.
Mm,
They're like,
yeah.
what?
Remember when it came out, so I was doing my degree, me creative writing and film studies, and the the tutor, when we were talking about dissertations, someone had done a dissertation on the three versions of
Mhm.
A Star Is Born. So obviously Judy, Barbara Streisand, and then I was chatting to her about it, and she said, "Oh, she unearthed this other version." I was like, "Yeah, I know about it." And then later on, she went, "Did you know that there was a film called What Price Hollywood that George Cukor directed?" I was like, "Yes. I know everything about the history of it." Okay, we've already touched on this, but the other big thing that's happened this year and recently, and I'm gonna let Carly and Connor take this away, is Wicked. And the reason I'm not going to be discussing much on this is I plan to go and see it on the 20th with my best friend. We were going to go see Wicked early afternoon, then we were going to go to the Christmas market in Liverpool. But she came down with the nasty virus that's been going around, and also it was like 2 days or a day after my mum was admitted to hospital, so I was spent as well, and thought, yeah, let's get ourselves better because we can still be there. I was going to go and see it yesterday by myself, and I decided to be a bit lazy and just have a little bit of a crash pig out day. So I might be seeing it tomorrow if I'm still meeting up with my friends. So I haven't seen it. I'm dying to see it. I've seen the stage show. I've read bits of the book, so I haven't read all the way through. But regarding the film, I'm going to pass it over to my esteemed colleagues.
You go first, Carly.
It was so good. I loved it. And I'll be quite honest, at first I was a little trepidatious about it because I don't really like Ariana Grande. I never really have.
Hmm.
So when I heard that that was gonna happen, I was like, oh, really? But I, whatever, my biggest thing was with the release of this movie, it is going to bring a whole new generation of love to The Wizard of Oz.
Mm,
And what I was scared of as well is that they wouldn't honor the movie enough because a lot of times when these sort of adaptations come about, they try to stay as far away from the classic
mm,
as possible because they want to be on their own. They want to have a standalone film, and that kind of bugs me a bit. And I found that with
mm,
Oz the Great and Powerful that came out in, I think, 2012.
mm, mm,
And with this film, with Wicked, oh my gosh, it was like a love letter to The Wizard of Oz. There were so many Easter eggs, nuances, just little tidbits that bring it right back to 1939. It's seamless through the entire film that you can imagine that this is a direct prequel to The
mm,
Wizard of Oz. Some minor differences, obviously, like the silver shoes, but we all know why they can't make them ruby. But everything from, keeping Dorothy's face covered, you cannot
mm,
see, but it very much resembles Judy Garland. Her back, like just her stature, her dress, her pigtails, everything like looked very Judy-esque. So you're kind of left with just being able to imagine that that is our Dorothy Gale. The Scarecrow, the Tin Man, that brief, you don't see hardly any of them in
mm,
part one, but you do see a sort of flyover of them, and that was my take on that. And in the trailers, they do show what we're going to see in part two with
mm.
them meeting the wizard, and it and even sorry, I'm like bouncing all over the place, but I'm still on the right subject. Bear with me. With Dorothy in the trailer for part two, they do show her feet with the silver shoes, and she's wearing those iconic blue socks.
Not white, blue.
So there's another little, nod to our Judy. And it was so wonderfully done. Cynthia Erivo was incredible as Alphaba. And that was the other thing, is any rendition of The Wicked Witch of the West, Margaret Hamilton takes the cake. She always has and she always will. And every attempt at portraying that character to me falls completely short.
Mm.
Completely. Don't even get me started on Mila Kunis's.
Oh dear.
I actually think of her as you were talking.
What's that?
I was thinking of Mila Kunis as you were talking.
Awful. Just
All
terrible.
she did was scream and screech. Like there was no nuance or anything to it.
It was awful. But Cynthia Erivo, phenomenal. Like, she is no Margaret Hamilton, but she's portraying the Wicked Witch of the West as well as she's portrayed in Wicked. She's not actually wicked. It is all propaganda. And she just did a brilliant job. Just brilliant. And I could see Margaret Hamilton's Wicked Witch of the West being also misunderstood. The girl just wanted her shoes back.
Well, it was kind of always Glinda's fault in the first place for giving them to Dorothy in the first. You know, I mean, come on.
Then sending her off on a trek when she could have gone home straight away.
Or taking the train that's in Oz, apparently.
I've seen the stage show, so I do know the references, even though I've not seen the film.
I love those TikTok videos where they'll show, clips of The Wizard of Oz where Glinda is starting to realize who's under the house.
I've seen that when Dorothy / Judy is doing the wind began to switch the house to pitch, and Glinda's just like Billy Burke. I don't know what way she's reacting or meant to be reacting there, but it is funny.
She's almost eye rolling at that point.
Yeah.
Like, when's she gonna stop?
It does make me laugh because I know you've always said, Carly, that Glinda's really the bad witch. And I know when they were written, L. Frank Baum did write them as your typical good and bad witch. And in the film, they were meant to be portrayed as Margaret Hamilton's witch as evil, Billy Burke's as good. And I did grow up thinking that. But again, I think that's a testament to sort of how nuanced the performances are as well in the film and the book. The fact that someone could actually then go and write this prequel to say, look, most people aren't just wicked for wicked's sake. There's usually a reason there. And Glinda, I know she is helping Dorothy, with the snow on the poppies and stuff, but she does come across as that sort of, that perfect person, one of those perfect people that you get where, they've, has to struggle and, they're also, nice and prim. So it is like a really interesting take.
Well, I've grown up with Wicked in the sense of when it premiered on Broadway in 2003. I remember by 2004, listening to the cast recording of it. So I would have been say 15 or whatever in 2004, and it was a good few years then. I'd say probably 10 years before I actually saw it on stage after that. So I knew the music very well, and grew up with the music and the songs in it. And I only knew a rough outline of the plot. But the show Wicked, it means a lot to me. Obviously with the Oz connection and everything to it, and it's always been that sort of continuation of Ozness. It was it's such a cultural, there's fans of Wicked that are not probably Oz fans or anything else. They're just fans of Wicked, and that's it. And I do think, Idina Menzel and Kristen Chenoweth, who originated the roles and are on the cast recording, and they're excellent. And that score is very difficult. Like any of those actresses that have played Elphaba, night after night with those songs in those high keys and that famous, I'm not even going to attempt it, the battle cry at the end of Defying Gravity and all of that. And interesting enough, I've seen conversations, in musical theatre groups where people say, Wicked probably isn't the greatest musical ever. And part of me can understand that, Dancing Through Life as a song is probably not the best song ever written. I will say Jonathan Bailey in the movie sells the hell out of it, and I really think he does a fantastic job in it. But going back to kind of Carly, what you're saying, it's actually so nuanced and layered. The songs in Wicked, like no one mourns the wicked. I hope I'm not no, I won't do any spoilers or anything. Is, you know, Glinda arriving in Munchkinland to confirm that the Wicked Witch of the West is dead. Now, in the end of part two, we'll come full circle where we'll come back to, well, we're assuming the stage show does, we'll come back to No One Mourns the Wicked. But Ariana Grande's, like the lyrics and Ariana Grande's performance in that No One Mourns the Wicked, like it transpires, of course, that Glinda and the Wicked Witch, Elphaba, were friends and best friends. So Glinda in No One Mourns the Wicked is having to celebrate the death of the Wicked Witch of the West, but it's actually her friend has died and she can't reveal that. The way Ariana Grande played all those scenes in No One Mourns the Wicked is stunning. And the lyrics are just like, the lyrics themselves are layered in the sense of, you know, she sings, goodness knows the wicked die alone. Um, it just shows when you're wicked, you're left only on your own. Now, it will transpire that that may not be the case. And Glinda is actually the one on her own who's meant to be the good one. There's just so much in it. And I agree, Carly. Like Ariana Grande, I knew bits of her work. I knew she sang with Barbara Streisand on a concert. She did Enough is Enough live with Barbara Streisand, so I knew her from that. And Sarah, you'll know I knew her from the awful thing that happened in Manchester. The Was it a bombing? I'm actually going blank now.
It's bombing in the
Bombing.
arena.
Yeah. And she sang Over the Rainbow, I think, in tribute to that at a later point. So, but her pop stuff probably wouldn't be my thing. But like, I knew she was probably a capable vocalist. But she is excellent as Glinda. And Cynthia Erivo, God bless her. Like, just like, thank the Lord for Cynthia Erivo for like the fact that they cast two capable singers in these roles rather than, you know, actors who could sing. These are singers. Oh my God. And for the most part, apart, you know, I believe they sang live on set and all of that. And it's, I'm probably lost for words here. And it's so cinematic. I mean, the way Defying Gravity is done in the movie is just, it's spectacular.
I've definitely got to go see it soon.
Yes, you do. It is so hard, like, not to spoil things. But I was just going to circle back to my original comment about A not liking Ariana Grande and being very trepidatious going into this and thinking that, you know, oh, really? But Ariana Grande does such a good job of Glinda, and she becomes Glinda. And I've heard that she ad-libbed a lot of her lines just to make it a little bit more, just to give it her own little spin on Glinda and what she felt was right for her character. And it was phenomenal. She ad-libbed the part where she's going rushing where she's running to the train because Alphaba is trying to coax her to come with, and she goes, "Oh, I can't spoil. Okay, I'm coming." Ad-libbed that, and that's so neat to me, and that's a testament to how a person gets right into their character and makes it their own.
Yeah, and apparently even I don't know how true it is, but there's a few little kind of high kicks and splicks and kicks and flips and things that she does in some of the dances that seemingly she just kind of threw in herself as well. So it's, and I chuckle. I love her little squeals as Glinda. I actually think it's so funny. It really makes
Yeah.
me laugh.
And
But I can't wait. Oh, sorry, go on, Carly.
go ahead, you go ahead.
I was just going to say because I can't wait for when part two comes out and the people that have gone to see Wicked, because there's been a lot of talk on social media, TikToks and different things of people that have only gone to see it, you know, their first experience with anything to do with Wicked has been going to see this movie. I cannot wait till next year when the twists and the turns of part two start to play out and people realize what's happening and who becomes what.
Before we finish off, and then just give you a quick preview on what might be coming, just want to end on a slightly sadder note. So some of you may be aware of Wayne Lawless, who was a very, very big supporter of the Garland Gab. He featured on some of our Judy birthday videos, so you can see him. He did also record something with Connor for a podcast about Judy's concerts, which hasn't been released yet, but it will be getting released in the future. But unfortunately, he'd met Judy loads and loads and loads. He was wealth of stories and information, but he passed away in December, just before Christmas. So if we can just, just remember Wayne for a minute and, rest in peace.
We're thinking of you, Wayne, wherever you may be. Thank you very much for all the support you gave us. You were really strong vocal supporter of the Garland Gab, and very willing to always engage with us and tell us your memories of Judy. And God love him, he posted me Christmas cards, and he actually sent me, did he send it to you guys as well, typed up like memoirs or memories of like Judy, and he attended, I think it was at the Hollywood Palace taping and different things. So I think we'll maybe next year work on something for Wayne, because he was great to us.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay, and going forward, we did have a discussion a few weeks back when we were like planning this podcast. So we did used to do a podcast every month. We're not sure whether that's realistic for us at the moment, so we're going to try maybe every 2 months. If not, we just as and when we can. So just bear with us. I think we've got possibly the concept podcast will probably come up at some point when we're not actually filming, so that's a little something to tide us over. And then our next one that we're going to film is actually something I'm really, really looking forward to. It's going to be Life Begins for Andy Hardy. And I have been waiting to do this since we started, not because it's my favourite Judy film. It's one of my least favourite Judy films, but that's exactly why I'm looking forward to it. So look out for that. And we've not done one of the films for a while. The last one was Ziegfeld Girl, August 23.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Okay.
Really?
So
August 23. My God.
So thanks everyone for watching and listening. Everyone who's returned, who used to follow us, thank you for returning. And any new members, so welcome to the Garland Gab. And hope you've had a lovely Christmas and have a lovely, happy 2025.
Happy 2025, and we hope to see you all soon.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.